I show up. In contrast to my own live show where it's me by myself, I better be on time or, people are going to be ticked. Whereas this is your show. So,
You notice we are in a tiny screen. You're not in a tiny box tonight.
Good. I need to have some room over here.
You need a headroom.
I need some, not headroom, ed room. Yeah, I can bounce my head off the frames and thing. I got room, if in case I get emotional or something. But what's
so how's your week been?
What's been going on in Oklahoma? Oklahoma.
Wow, you can spell.
I know the musical.
We had the fire meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
Let's see
what
here.
goes on in a fire meeting? Are there any fires?
No.
Okay. So
we sit there and talk about, what we plan on doing for fundraisers or how everything went for the week, where we're setting at budget-wise and stuff.
Okay.
So.
What kind of fundraisers do you have planned?
Well, we have the 4th of July fireworks show coming up. Well, a little bit late than the 4th because it's the 18th coming up.
I was going to say, didn't we just have July 4th?
And then we have the rodeo coming up where we sell, let's see here, cotton candy, fried Oreos.
Oh my goodness.
Funnel cakes.
Oh, I love it.
And popcorn.
Oh, I would be so fat, D.
We're thinking about having a dunk tank this year.
Yeah.
I'll get the evening sun, so
I have actually, I don't know why it was though. What was I doing that I was actually, I can remember going to the Butler Fair, maybe 1991, and throwing balls to dunk someone. But I remember being in a dunk tank as well for some, I don't know why. And I don't remember if I actually went into the water or not. I probably did, but I did it at some point back around that time as well.
Oh.
Wow.
This past weekend, we had a fireworks show that we helped at. But, I mean, the whole goals for us auxiliary is basically the fundraisers. If we was to have a big fire or something up in the mountains, to go set up tents, rehydration booths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
First aid tents, stuff that's needed.
Right. How much money does it take to run that? How much money do you have to raise annually to,
Well, this year they raised quite a bit and we're still climbing. So that's a positive.
All right, so you don't know a dollar amount?
Not off the top of my head.
I just wondered.
I can't give it a rough estimate because, there's certain firemen who go out and buy their own stuff, like my old man, and certain ones of the, assistants and stuff.
Okay.
So
I think this is so interesting to me because I grew up, even though my address was Leechburg, Pennsylvania, I lived in an area called Gilpin Township. And Gilpin to this day even has, its fire department is also volunteer. And the firehouse was maybe a half mile from my house. And so I have very, very distinct memories, growing up. And then I lived there until 1998 of, the fire department being right there and the whistle going off, you know, and it being so loud, and them also doing fundraisers and all of those things, and knowing guys, mainly men, who, you know, were on the fire department. I was not, you know, volunteering and everything. So it's a very prominent memory from me being a kid. And so that's why that you're involved in that and everything. It brings back so many memories for myself.
Well, I enjoy it. This is the first year that I decided to, you know, do anything with them, but it was kind of one of the assistant's wives that now as a mod in here that kind of gave me the push to do it, you know.
Yeah.
Because she wanted me to join because she was joining, and there's a fear that we're fixing to lose too anyway, so of the females. So we need more females joined, because if there's only 2 of us,
yeah,
that's not a lot.
Huh? Nope. Well, you could do that job by yourself, Dee. Come on. Ha. Yeah, you know, but you know, of course, when it's volunteering, you know, it's always difficult to find people.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people probably maybe just take it for granted. Oh, well, you know, somebody will volunteer. I don't have to volunteer. Other people will volunteer.
Yeah.
And, you know, too many people think, well, I'm too busy and everything. Well, you know, you're too busy until your house catches on fire, and then you want the fire department, you know, to be there immediately.
I've had 2 houses, well, 2 family-owned houses that have went up, that were out, you know, not in Ginatri's fire district, but Springer's.
Okay.
And because they were so far out, they were still like a 15-minute drive to where my house was. So, you know, I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I really, like I said, I have experience as a kid. You know, that whistle would go off, and it was so loud. And it would just keep going, droning on and on and on and on and on and on. And, you know, seeing the fire trucks go and everything. And, of course, they had all their fundraisers and bingo and all of that. But I really don't remember a lot of big fires, though, you know, back then. Obviously, I'm sure there were, and there were houses that burned down and everything. It's just nothing that really jumps out at me at the time.
We don't get big fires until about August, September. Well, you know.
Okay, when things dry out.
Yep, things are dry. People are still being careless. They throw out cigarettes going down the road or something like that, or a spark from a trailer. You know, anything can cause that to go up quick by the interstate.
For sure. Yes.
Or even the old highways, you know, or, well, we have I-35 and then we have Highway 77 that comes down. And even the old highways, there's not much of a shoulder on those, you know, out here. So just a spark is all it needs.
Right. The grass or with the trees or whatever come right up to the edge of the road, and that's all it takes.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Right. Do they, I know it's so weird that I'm so interested in this, but I'm going to keep asking questions because this is something I don't know a lot about. And I am just naturally a curious person about things that, you know, I've never been into. Do they, if you know, do they, of course, these are all volunteers. So these are all people who have other jobs. They're not professionals.
Yes.
Do they actually have people come in, like professional firefighters, to come in and give classes or give demonstrations or what?
They have to have so many hours of training.
Okay.
I think it's yearly. If Jenna's in here, she can correct me if I'm wrong. Like Michael took Fire 1 last year, which sparked him up and going and getting his EMT license. Then after his EMT license, he is going to go get advanced EMT license, which the only place here to do that, or the closest place here to do that, is down in Texas. And then he's going to go get his paramedic, is his plans.
Okay.
Others have, city jobs or native jobs around here for Native Americans, or, like the casino or mowing and stuff like that. And then some are just retired.
But like maybe once a year, at least once a year, I'm guessing, you have people come in and give classes if they're new, like volunteers or something, professionals, or you said you send, or these guys, or maybe women too. Once again, not being sexist.
Yes, there's actually women.
They go somewhere. They go to a city or something to get some training.
Well, there's certain training that can be done there at the fire department. And then there's other places they have to go, like come into town to, like the which is Ardmore. We have, I'm trying to think what it's, Southern Oklahoma VOTEC.
Okay.
And there's certain classes that go on there. There's certain classes that go on over at Dixon that they can go to, but they get a list and a pamphlet of different classes.
Okay.
That they can sign up for. Like I told Jenna, the one I'm going for is as soon as
it's so dangerous.
I get that, and the thing that I want is as soon as I get a class for search and rescue, I want to take it. If they'll let me.
Yeah.
That is something I want to do.
I guess what I'm thinking about is all of these people, they have other jobs, whether they're teachers or accountants or whatever else, whatever is popular employment in your area. And then they volunteer, if they're home or whatever, and the fire alarm, or they probably get calls on their phones or something these days. But, got to go in. And then you have all these people whose jobs are really other things. They're going to be putting this equipment on and then going to like a fire where somebody might be stuck inside. And they have to go into a house that could be collapsing and everything. I mean, and these are volunteers. These people are not getting paid to do this very dangerous work. I think that's what keeps going through my mind.
Just a minute.
Did I lose you, Dee?
No, I'm still here. I got a text message that I was trying to answer back.
Well, this is showtime, Dee.
I know. And normally I don't answer messages, but because Michael's out with the EMS over in Sulphur today, and we had a standoff on I-35.
A what?
They had a high pursuit chase and a standoff on I-35.
Oh, did they?
They ended about 3 p.m. for us.
Okay. But like I said, I'm just thinking about all these volunteers. You're doing something at work or at home, and you get the call, hey, time to go run into a burning building.
Yeah.
It's just,
I mean, my biggest thing is a lot of them are parents. And you know what I mean? I know a lot of firemen are parents, but this is a little bit different because you're putting not only yourself on the line, you're putting your career on the line for another job. If you're working another job, and possibly your own life. Oh, Did I lose you, Ed?
No, I'm listening. I'm thinking. I'm thinking. Huh. Okay.
It's a whole lot to think about, at the same time. And so this is a lot of heart and devotion. A lot of these guys have.
I know. I'm not doing anything dangerous in my life compared to that. Yeah. Okay. All right. And now you're a part of it.
Yes.
You're helping out. You're helping out.
Well, see, my older sister and her husband was the fire chief for the prison, and he was also the fire chief of their little town they live in. Which she passed on, but she was also part of the auxiliary, which, helps out if they need it type thing. So,
right.
Speaking of Jenna the mod, she just came in. So, I've sat back for years and watched it, but it's, this is the first time I said, hey, pick me. Tag.
Okay.
Jenna, we're talking about fire department.
I love hearing about things that I don't know, things about, things that, like are on the periphery of my life that I'll never do. I'm curious like that. And then of course, anytime you're going to talk about carnival food, I have to get interested in that.
And so then come Halloween, we have a cake walk and other things, and kids get involved. And
yeah. So when you do that food and everything, do you or other people do that, or once again, is that like the carnival people that do that and you get a cut, or are you going to be cooking up some fried Oreos, Dee?
Well, I don't get a cut, but there's no telling where they're going to stick me.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Last year I didn't help. The year before I helped out as much as I could.
Okay. Not that I'm much into the service or retail industry, but I think serving people fried Oreos would be kind of fun. I don't know if I've ever had a fried Oreo.
They're not my thing. I don't like sweets though, so I like my Coke. That's about it. Other sugars I'm not too crazy about. Yeah. I look at it and I'm like, ew, it's fried oil. Well,
I like fried foods, chicken wings and otherwise, but Oreos are okay. I know this is totally sacrilegious when it comes to the United States, but I think Oreos are a little overrated. Don't anybody hate me for that, but I think they're a little overrated. Don't know why.
Jenna says the fried Oreos are different.
They're different. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Hey, there's the puppy in the background.
Yep. How's my sound been so far?
Good. You sound great, Dee.
Okay.
You sound great. So I know you gave me, you sent me a couple cases, Louise's and I think Mary's, and I've got some notes, but is there any other true crime stuff, anything that's catching your eye before we get into those, anything that's jumping out at you since we got together last week?
Well, we did talk about that one down in Mexico, but that one was kind of, you know what I mean? It's Mexico. Yes, it's close to Tucson, Arizona, but we're still across that border.
I guess I'm saying anything that's been in the news since we got together. Anything that.
Well, let's see here. You've heard about the 16 kids in Ohio, more than likely. The grandfather's been released on the OR bond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a missing person for the went missing on the 4th of July weekend down in Mississippi. They were on an island, and he was found on the Texas side of the island. I guess I don't know how that all works, but it was on San Antonio News.
Okay. What did you do for the 4th of July, Dee?
For the 4th, we went to the a church had a fireworks show and invited the fire department, so that way if they did have any flare-ups or anything catch on fire, they could.
Right.
So we all went out there and took the kids and sat there and watched it.
Are you allowed on holy ground, Dee?
Yes, it doesn't catch on fire yet.
I didn't know. I don't know if you got a reprieve from the church or something.
Is that why you think?
I don't know. Before you do that, do you have to say like 10 Hail Marys and sprinkle yourself with holy water or something before you're allowed on the property, or what? I don't know. I haven't been inside a church. I don't know. It's been a while.
Oh, I was reading chat. See, I haven't either. But I've had enough Catholic friends bring me holy water.
Okay. All right. You got Catholic friends. All right. It's I got friends in low places. You got friends in Catholic places.
Yes. I have Catholic friends, so I got the holy water.
Well, I was raised Catholic, Dee. I did the whole thing. I was an altar boy. I got confirmed. I was the church organist, and I haven't been to a Catholic mass since early 1990s. Just didn't stick. It didn't stick with me.
Oh. But you say your dad changed to a different church after your mom died, or
it's funny you bringing that up, because my father was raised Lutheran or Presbyterian or something, but once when he and my mother got married in 1964, it was a Catholic ceremony. And then my dad just started going with my mother to Catholic masses. Of course, they adopted me, and I was raised Catholic. I got I got baptized in the Catholic Church. So my dad, did that. But since when they moved from Leechburg to where my dad still lives today, they did not end up going to a Catholic church. They went to just some more open denominational Christian type of thing.
Yeah.
And not a Catholic church. Why? I don't know. But my mother was Catholic, but my father was not, but he always went to Catholic mass.
Well, see, I was raised in the Church of Christ with my mother until I hit about 10. And then from 11 to, I think, 16, I went to a non-denominational church. And then my friend David asked me to go to church with him. Didn't realize it was Catholic church. And I went. And I went for several years with him, but we were just friends. It was he used me for the cover up in front of the church because he was gay.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. That's what it was.
Right. I got. Well, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Because as soon as he graduated and got away from his mom and everyone, he came out. you know, and it's like, hi. I'm like, oh, wow. You could have told us a long time ago.
All right.
But yeah, I went for several years with him, didn't realize what was going on in front of my own face. Like I said, I was surprised when he, you know, decided to tell everyone. Like several of his friends quit being friends with him because of it.
Okay.
Like came off completely. And I was like, I can't do that. He's a friend. Everyone needs friends.
They do. Yes, that's true. True crime in my area. Some weeks ago, over here, straight north of me, up in Clearwater Beach, there was a street takeover, and there ended up being a shooting. Nobody got killed, but somebody did get hit, and with bullets. And just today, it came out they've arrested 6 guys. I think mostly guys, young guys. I don't know if they're under 18, but they've arrested 6 involved in that shooting. There's, you can see like if you go to YouTube, you can see videos of the whole thing.
Oh dang.
And then over like where my brother and his wife now live, over in Polk City, Polk County, Florida, which is the county between where Tampa is and where Orlando is. Some months ago, they arrested a guy who for years has played Santa over there. They arrested him on child molestation, porn charges.
Oh my God.
And now they've arrested the guy's brother for exposing himself at a mall or a McDonald's or something, exposing himself to a little girl. And it's the guy's brother. And that just happened within the last couple of days.
Oh, wowzers.
How about that?
That's crazy. Well, it's like I asked a friend of mine who I'm connected through Dawn and Candace asked me yesterday. She sent me something and she goes, "What is this world coming to?" And I was like, "I don't know why." And she sent it to me. And I couldn't believe that the gall of people to come out and ask a missing child's parents, "Can I monetize off your child?" Oh yeah, I lost it.
What does that even mean?
Straightforward, the note was, "Your beautiful daughter's story deserves to be told. Can I please monetize my channel, Candace?" And I was like, seriously? Seriously? It makes me want to, just reach through and slap people. I couldn't believe it.
I mean, I know, we do this work and we run ads and, of course, with my podcast and on the YouTube channel and everything. But at least for me, I do interview the people and I give them a chance to, I don't know if any of my guests expect me to work for free. Although I keep saying, if you're looking to make money, don't get into podcasting.
Oh, I agree.
So, but for just to blatantly come out and just say that is something. That is brash and rude and a bunch of other words.
Yep. Okay. I sent a message. I was like, "I'm not Candace, but I'll answer this question for you." Any more posts like this will be considered harassment and we will get law enforcement involved.
Wow.
I answered her. She might not like the answer, but and I asked Candace before I sent it, you know what I mean? Is this okay for me to send?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
I mean, unwanted harassment, still unwanted harassment. Leave us alone. Go away.
Monetize. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's talk about Louise and Mary. What do you say?
All righty. Let's get on it.
let's, I know you sent Louise's to me first, but let's look at Mary's first, given that it's in the United States and it's a disappearance. And maybe it's something we're more accustomed to. Of course, the other one is in Australia, although actually it does have a United States connection, I guess, as well, eventually. But I think Mary's plays out like so many disappearances that have been featured on Unfound, in that, Mary was employed as a house cleaner in Sherman, Connecticut. She had a bad marriage with her husband, Dominic. Shortly before she disappeared, she found out that Dominic was having an affair. This really reminds me of a few disappearances that we featured where women found out that their significant others were cheating on them, and then these women go missing. Marion Hurley is one that comes to mind. Dominic had a history of infidelity as well as domestic violence. Mary files for divorce. Mary's adult daughters last heard from her on August 19th. It's unclear to me if these are the daughters of Dominic as well, or maybe from a prior relationship. It's a little unclear to me. But Dominic claims he last saw Mary on August 20th of 1984. So, I mean, we're going back 2 years now. And he said that she packed all of her belongings and left her residence. And none of Mary's personal items were located inside the house by the daughters. Her car was parked outside, but the driver's side windshield had been smashed. I don't know if there was ever any explanation for that. Mary's car keys and the wedding ring were left inside the house. And Dominic claims he gave Mary between $100,000 and $250,000 to leave the residence. Okay. And he maintained that she simply packed her things and left after receiving the cash. Now, of course, you'd have to be really an idiot to believe any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the bad part is that the police seemingly did.
Wow.
And this is something, I don't know how much, wouldn't say a ton has changed in disappearances between, the 80s and now. But my perception is that this type of thing, where the police just so readily buy into some husband's story, doesn't happen as often now. I'm not saying that, Dominic, if this were happening in 2026, that they would automatically put him in cuffs or anything like that. But they wouldn't be so inclined to think, oh, really? She took off. Okay, thank you. We'll be on our way. Just not the same now. But that's seemingly what happened. And it wasn't until 1990, 6 years later, that her case was upgraded from a missing persons case to a homicide. Now, the problem, though, is the reason they did this is, once again, for the most BS, bull bleep of reasons. Investigators received a tip from an informant, and I have yet to know of an informant tip that solves a disappearance. The Mary was killed after members of the Hells Angels motorcycle gang issued a contract on her life. Dominic's son, Joseph, I guess not her son, who has a criminal record for arson, is a member of the gang. Reportedly, Joseph, the son, and accomplice, Steve Kendall, killed Mary because she was going to the police with incriminating information about Dominic. Joseph, the son, not her son, was interviewed in prison, but he refused to cooperate. Dominic refused to cooperate. Kendall refused to be interviewed, but he did take a lie detector test, which he reportedly failed. He was later killed in a motorcycle accident. The tip has never been confirmed. No charges have been filed in Mary's disappearance. Authorities searched the backyard of Ernest Dockenhausen's former home in September 2007. So now we're talking 20-some years later. They found nothing, although some buried cars were located in the search. In 2008, this guy was charged with misdemeanor count of interfering with a police investigation. And authorities stated he gave false and misleading information to the police. At the trial, authorities identified Dominic as the prime suspect in Mary's presumed death. No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And although Dockenhausen was acquitted at his trial in May 2009, Dominic was convicted of attempted bribery in connection with Mary's disappearance in June 2013. He had attempted to interfere with a grand jury probe into Mary's disappearance by offering the presiding judge $100,000. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Now, does anybody think that it really had to come to any of that?
Nope. He should have been in prison a long time ago.
Right. Like I said, I think if this were in 2026, this would be different. Maybe we could even use Barry Morphew, Susan Morphew's murder and everything as an example.
Yeah.
Where I will be honest, once again, I'm the guy that's been doing this for 10 years, 400 disappearances. I can say with some assuredness, that if we want to go over to being that everybody knows the Suzanne Morphew disappearance that is now murder, she was eventually, body was found buried. That if that happens in the 1980s, probably Barry Morphew, all these years later, is still walking around a free man. Probably. But these days, being that I think we now look at relationships a little bit differently, and everybody's much more attuned to what goes on with domestic violence, whether it's actual physical violence or sexual violence or mental violence, whatever it is. You know, it's not so long ago in American history that it was just accepted that men could slap women around. Right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Dee? Not that long ago. And it was just like, it's this thing, and there was no charge and everything. Of course, we know that happens today, you know, and some women don't want to file charges and everything, but it's not something that's accepted. And I think also, I've gone on record in saying this, I think it's a controversial statement, is I think the reason that a lot of these types of disappearances, you know, you and I look at this and look back at 1984 and, you know, which, you know, I know you were just barely alive at that time, Dee. Me, I was in junior high school.
I was about 4.
You're 4 years old. Okay. And back then, as I've stated this, I think also one of the reasons that we can sit now and say, well, of course Dominic did this now, but back then they're like, oh, we don't know what happened, is because too many guys believed the stories that abusive husbands were telling. You know, kind of like the good old boys club in a different way. You know, the police show up. Hey, we hear that your wife's missing. And what's the guy said? Hey, man, you know how women could be. You know, she got out of line and we're having problems and I had to slap her around and she didn't like it and she took off. You guys know how it is, right? And these male police officers are like, yeah, right. You know, the guy says, you know, women are crazy and everything. You know what I'm talking about. And the guy's like, yeah, we know. Yeah, we get it. Oh, she took off. Okay, man, sorry to bother you. And we'll get back in our cars and leave.
Or they have ties to the police now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Certainly.
I mean, my dad never raised his hand to my mom, but my mom's first husband was extremely abusive, which ended in a divorce. And then on top of that, he followed in his daddy's footsteps because he watched his daddy do the same thing to his mother.
Right. It's passed down. Right. Right.
So yeah, I get it.
Right.
So, you know.
Right. And I think that, like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't happen now. I think it still does happen now. My perception, it just happens a lot less. Of course, there's still a lot of married men getting away with the murders of their wives and disappearance of their wives. But I don't think it's necessarily in the way that I think it used to happen, like what I see here.
Yeah.
I can't rule out the idea that male police officers are just showing up, and maybe these male police officers are having their own relationship problems with their girlfriends and wives. And, suddenly the police officer is identifying with what a murderer is saying.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I don't want anybody to think, well, women.
Yep.
Right?
I get that. Yeah. That was my ex, the one that almost killed me and left me for dead in California. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
So that's how, you get off on all the, it wasn't changed to a murder until 1990. And then they're buying into these ideas. It was the Hells Angels and all of these things. They'll do anything but look at the actual person who actually did it.
Uh-huh.
And what does it take? Like, I guess what we're seeing here is it takes a new generation of police officers, a new generation of men who, raised in a better time, when it comes to the attitude towards women, to kind of look at this and say, this is crap. Of course Dominic killed her. Of course he did. How did you guys back in 1984 not see this?
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it was they saw it, but they looked the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
once again, because they're saying, well, yeah, I had to do, women are.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Doodle, how are you, girlie?
But these, if anybody doesn't know, these types of disappearances are some of the easiest to understand what happened. It doesn't get much easier than this. Now, that doesn't mean that, of course, she's still missing all these years later, despite people looking for her and everything. I get it. But actually wrapping your head around what actually happened and why, it doesn't get any easier in this when it comes to disappearances. It doesn't. But the police make it really hard. They make it really hard.
I've seen good cops. So we got one that's retired that's in our chat, and it's Doodlebug. Love you, Doodle. But it's true. I've seen good cops and I've seen bad cops. And like we discussed with, what was said about the Mulligan cold case, we all know what's out there. I've seen good cops and I've seen bad cops, and I've seen good cops turn to bad cops.
Right.
I've seen it. And anytime they get a chance to turn the blind eye or say we don't know what's going on, they do. Unfortunately, they do.
And the other thing, if it's coming to mind, and I posted this, I don't know if you saw it, D. Did I post it yesterday? I think I did. When it comes to police departments, you never quite know what's going on behind the scenes either.
This is true. I mean, I'm waiting for the truth to come out on the Nancy Guthrie stuff that everyone has speculated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I posted yesterday and I said, read, don't eat before reading this. And it came out that the sheriff, was it in South Carolina or somewhere, or maybe it was right here in Florida. But he was thought as being this great cop and everything else. And guess what he was doing? He was taking all the money from all of the drug busts and drugs that his county was making and taking the money. And unfortunately, too many people around him went along with it. and then he died, I think just of natural causes. So when they went in to, go through his office, there was some, drawer in his desk that was like locked, and they couldn't get it open. They had to get a pry bar. And when they opened it up, they found all these drugs, and they found all of this cash there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it was missing. And so this is a big, big story that is blowing up somewhere. Like I said, is it South Carolina? I posted in the group. Now I'm going to be bothered by this. I have to look it up and see where that's actually. But yeah, he was thought of as being, great cop, moral, doing a great job. Look at them doing this. Look at them doing that. Yeah, he's taking the money for his own personal use. And he's saying, yeah, did you get money from that? Did you find money in that car? Yeah, give it to me. Did you find money in that house? Yeah, give it to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Sheriff dies. Evidence of stolen drug seizure cash found in locked desk drawer.
Wow.
It's a really, really long article. It has quotes from the people interviewed and everything. Yeah. It's what state is this? There's the train.
There's your train.
There it is.
As you're talking.
There it is. Yeah, South Carolina. Yes, South Carolina is where this happened. So anybody want to check that out? The sheriff's name was Douglas Purnell, Pernell. If anybody wants to look it up. What a disaster. So I got off on that tangent. But I think also something maybe, being that you brought up Nancy Guthrie, and this is how we got on looking at these types of cases months ago.
Yeah.
This is another example where a woman goes missing, and the very absolute 100% best choice is a guy who knew her. Now, granted, it's a little easier with this one. But this is why my main choice for Nancy's disappearance is still going to be a guy who knew her. That doesn't necessarily mean she knew him. But he knew her.
He knew her.
Now, what does that mean and the permutations of that? I'm not saying that, the guy, at least my perception of the video, the pictures of this guy, is quite a bit younger than she is. Still, hey, maybe, she was having a relationship with some guy that's much younger than her. Nice work if you can get it. But he knew her. Was it an Uber driver? Was it a pizza delivery guy? Was it some guy connected to somebody she knew? I'm still going to continue to insist that it's somebody like that. We've been through this before, but as many women that you have found that we have discussed over the last several months, Dave, it's one continuing message. Overwhelmingly, when these women, it's by a guy who knew them.
Mm-hmm. Even the one down there in, what was it, Louisiana? No, it might have been Mississippi.
Which one?
Leverett, or how do you pronounce her last name? It starts with an L.
I'm not sure.
One of the first.
We've covered so many, D. The thing is, we've
covered so many. It's the one that starts with an L. Her first name, her last name. I'll have to look it up later and tell you.
Okay.
She was one of the first ones we actually went full intensive diving in on. They found the blood in her house. She had just bought the house. She was a multimillionaire's wife.
Right. Hold on.
Passed away. He owned a furniture store.
Right. Jacqueline Levitz.
Yes.
There you go. Yes, I found it. Yes, 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 yes. Right.
At some point, I guarantee you we're going to find she had met some guy.
Right. Right. I'm going to keep pounding this. Once again, no proof of that.
No.
But the odds, the probability is overwhelming. Overwhelming. So we start talking about, Mexican drug cartels and all these things. Unlikely. Let's say I think she had so many at her home, like the pool guy, the lawn guy, the dang Uber, but I definitely feel they knew her routines. Well, yeah. The only thing I would say to that is, if you've decided that you're going to go to somebody's house at 2 a.m. to kidnap her, then I don't know if knowing her routines would be that important, because pretty much anybody's routine at 2 a.m. is being in bed.
Unless you're me. Here's of lately.
Unless you're D in Oklahoma.
Then I'm playing music quizzes at 4 a.m.
In Oklahoma is running up and down the road screaming so nobody else can sleep either.
But yeah, I think with each and every single one of these missing women, there is someone tied to it that everyone's overlooking, on top of it. Someone who you wouldn't expect, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And we have to remember, getting back to Mary, they didn't classify it as a homicide until 6 years later.
Yeah.
Even though it was very, very obvious what happened. So, for Nancy, kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it. Yeah. But I think with each one of these cases we've looked at when it comes to women going missing, if they were not walk-offs, that we can actually automatically go, hang on, there was something going on wrong upstairs, and they walked off. And we have had a few of those.
Right.
But a lot of them have been, there's been some type of mail or something else that's went on, including the kidnapping of that one multimillionaire's wife back in the day. Let me think. I'll get her name out of you.
Is that the Brock's woman? The candy? Yes. Yeah, right.
The one where
she allegedly went to Minnesota, or she went up to some place else in Minnesota for a surgery or something, and then the guy who was like the groundskeeper said she came back and then left. Whereas I'm inclined to believe he killed her after he was up there picking her up there, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think that goes back maybe to the 1970s.
Yes. No, the one I was actually thinking of, not the Brock lady. The one where the husband found the ransom note and it was typed up.
Oh, yes, that one. Yes. Right. That one too. Yeah. Yes.
And it had a white van involved.
Right. And it had to do with some business he was involved in and somebody felt screwed over by it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's another good one, D.
There's so many of them that, there are a few out there that you can tell aren't either walk-offs or some male in their life did it. But in that instant, it was still some male in their life, including with the they were still men in these women's lives.
Right. Right. Not a total stranger. If using that as an example, it's not like he randomly rolled up to her house and took her. Yeah. That was on purpose. He knew that she was there. He knew where he was going. He had a particular address picked out. He knew who lived there. Yeah. He knew her. That does not mean they ever had lunch together or ever actually were in the same room together. It's just that he knew she existed. He knew where she was and when she'd be there. That
Mm-hmm.
type of stuff. Yeah.
So every single one of them, you know, there's been male figures in their lives, unless they've been a walk off. And who knows, the man might have drove them to walk off.
Woman's like, I gotta get out of here, man. This guy's driving me nuts. I gotta walk off.
You know.
Yeah.
I hate being that way about it, but if you look at them, there's been some type of tie to a male. Yeah. Unless they were the walk-offs. They were obvious walk-offs.
Yeah, we're going to keep telling you, all of you watching, listening out there, we're going to keep saying it. When you start thinking about these types of disappearances, do not let your creativity get in the way of your better thinking.
And I've said it more than once. If it wouldn't have been for that doorbell cam, I would have sworn Nancy walked off at this point in time. You know?
I don't, you know, maybe we would have to know more about the scene. If it was just simply that we didn't have that video, we'd have to know more about what did the interior of the house look like. Was there signs of a break-in? If
well,
there's signs of a break-in, obviously she didn't walk off.
Well, we know the 2 back doors were left open too. I mean, we do know that. So, I mean, that could technically be a walk-off or a burglar, you know, type thing.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things, D, where, you know, you have the video and you know some guy's there with a mask on at 2 a.m. That's really all you need to know, you know, to come to a pretty firm idea of what went on here. You don't need to know anything about doors, I guess, being, you know, we do know some of these things, but if we didn't have that, then we would be way more curious about, well, what did the interior of the house look like?
Yeah.
Was there any signs of violence and things like that? But once you see a guy with a mask on a camera, then it's like, it really doesn't matter what the interior of the home looked like to figure out what had happened. We know what happened. There was some other guy there who took her.
Mm-hmm.
Or emotion. So many act out of emotion, really don't know what evidence they have. We don't. We don't. All we know is some guy showed up with a mask on, took her. And all we know for Mary is that her husband told some BS story that nobody should have believed in 1984. And regarding this other one from Australia, real quickly before I get out of here tonight, D, you know, the confusing thing to me, this happened in Australia. Louise had a daughter, and there was a witness that they got into some white van and everything with some older guy. Well, it does seem that Louise was having a relationship. She would have been 43. He was in his 60s. And Charmaine, the daughter, who was only 3 years old, was probably this guy's daughter. I think it was determined. But the guy was married. And what's confusing to me, though, is the witness said, yeah, I saw Louise and Sherman get in this van with a man as an older guy, but it doesn't explicitly come out anywhere. And I checked a few different places that says that the witness identified the older guy as, what's this guy's name? Oh, my goodness. Where is his name in here? George Sutherland. It doesn't explicitly say that the guy was George Sutherland, even though it does seem, though, that the person said, yeah, it was an older guy. Well, if you saw that, you couldn't say that it was George Sutherland or not. Right.
Yeah.
Right. You do always a white creeper van. Yeah, I think sometimes that's blown out of proportion, Doodle, but I think that's actually what happened, bizarrely. But what happened there is I'm thinking, well, the guy's still married. Louise is putting maybe pressure on him for child support. He says, I'm not putting up with this. He kills her and the daughter, very much like if we want to think about Susan Carter and Natasha Carter in West Virginia some many years ago. And then right away, George and his wife, Beryl, nobody gets named Beryl. No women get named Beryl anymore. Beryl. They moved to the United States and hung out for a while, but eventually their time ran out and they had to move back. They were forced to return to Australia, but it doesn't seem to me that George Sutherland was ever charged with anything.
Oh my.
And it says here, when the wife found out about the affair, she allegedly threatened the woman, Louise, over the phone. The wife denied this. And this is one of those things that we have to understand. There will be women who stick by their murderous husbands.
Yes.
The guy, they're married, but the guy killed another woman and the woman's child. There are way too many women will stand by their man, just like that song. Who was that? Tammy Wynette. Stand by your man. Too many women like that.
Yep. I get that. I do. I've seen it,
Yeah. But that's from 1980, and that is still unsolved 46 years later. Very sad. And I think George is surely dead by now. I mean, he was 60 at the time. He'd have to be in the hundreds now. He's dead.
Oh, we got some up there.
Yeah. So that's all I got for you tonight, Dee.
Oh, this has been fun.
Yeah, we talked about carnival food and fire stuff, and Nancy Guthrie a little bit, and Mary and Louise. We hit some good topics tonight.
And I think, the more we stay on this path and we might have to go to younger women, but even at that point, if you look, you can, put them in their groupings and their columns, where they belong. Where with men, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Some of these male cases, which me and Ed have seen one that took all of us and turned us upside down and made us, some of us even fight amongst ourselves in that group of yours a long time ago.
Yeah. All right, Dee. Good talking to you tonight. I know your allergies have been kicking up. I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, I wish this heat would just go away now.
The what? The heat?
The heat. We've been hitting 106.
It got into the 90s here today.
Well, okay, we get the feel like temps, and that's a feel like temp is 106. I think the actual temp is like 98.
Yeah, humidity is like 99% or something though, right?
We're high in humidity right now. I'm hearing we're going to have rain on Friday or on Saturday, and then I've also heard Sunday. So sometime this weekend we got rain coming.
And then tornadoes and everything else.
Nah. Too dry.
Too dry? Not too dry. Too dry.
Leave Ed to pick on me.
I'm leaving now. Now that I'm insulting how you use the English language, Dee, I'm going to leave now.
I was like, have you ever watched Young Sheldon?
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
If my friends don't pick on me, I don't know what to do. But yeah, Doodle, you are 100% correct on some of the things you've said. With Nancy Guthrie, we just got to figure out what the vehicle was and what the motive was pretty much on our end. And yeah, the rumor on the streets is that her son was living in the pool house. I mean, heck, we've went through the ransom notes are real, the ransom notes aren't real, the ransom notes are real, the ransom notes aren't real. I wish just, either the FBI or someone would make up their mind, are these damn ransom notes real or not? Excuse my language and my southern charm. But, I feel for Savannah. If it was my mom that went missing, I think I would go insane. My mother's 86. She can't see and she can't hear. How is she going to walk out of somewhere by herself? She barely cooked for herself, and those are microwave meals. So, and that's only when my sister isn't there. So that's like lunch or breakfast type things. But with all these cases, we have something to learn. And like I told Eddie, when we have to go even younger and younger people's cases, the more you look at it, the more you're going to see what's actually going on versus what's being put out. And if Ghost comes in, Ghost, you know what park that is behind me in my photo here. So this is a very recent photo. You can agree. You've seen me here recently. To me, it makes me look fat. I don't like it. Just saying. But y'all, I've been on for an hour and 8 minutes. It's hot. I'm tired. I'm going to jump off here. I might come on later on Restream and go over the 18 kids in Ohio, 16 kids in Ohio that went missing. The 16 kids in Ohio that were found. The grandfather has been released to the hospital, and the reason why he was released on an OR bond to a hospital was because it would have cost the state more money to take care of him than to release him. So to me, that doesn't sound very good on his behalf. I'm also hearing that the mother may get released due to the fact her lawyer swears up and down she's a victim. She don't classify herself as a victim, but her lawyer does. It may be one of those cases where the lawyer has to take over guardianship over or something. I don't know how that all would work since her mom and her brother and all them are still alive. But we might go over all that and talk about it and discuss how we feel about it here in a little while if I still feel up to it. Talk to you guys later. Catch you guys later. Peace out. Love you all.